Good evening, everybody. It's Wednesday evening, and tonight it's another health talk. And tonight we are live with Claire, and so Claire is live, and we're just waiting. Good evening, Claire. I see you there, and just going to wait a couple of minutes for a few people to join us. And okay. So tonight we're talking about medical nutritional therapy for PCOS, and this is sponsored by Dalfran Pharmaceuticals. And if you guys know Dalfran, they have the amazing family starter kit, and they have the myoinositol, everything for PCOS. They have quite a few products, and you'll see I will do a couple of promotions for that. But tonight we're going to be chatting to Claire. So we're just going to send Claire, and we can chat to her. Okay, Claire, I've just sent you an invite. I'm just waiting for Claire to join us this evening. Okay. Good evening. Hi, Claire.
Hi, Leanne. How are you?
Fine, yourself?
I'm good, thank you.
Thank you for joining us this evening on Health Talk. So we do a health talk every second week of the month. Every first week of the month, we would do Real Women, Real Stories, where women get to tell us about, talk about their journey with, dealing with infertility. So tonight we're talking about a subject which I think about, 50%, if not more, women actually suffer from, which is PCOS. Thank you everyone for joining us here. We've got quite a few joining, and we'll obviously see them join throughout as people get the notifications. So thank you very much, and I can't wait to hear what it is that you guys do. And I had a look at your Instagram, and I saw you PCOS boss. So this is perfect. We love that. To be able to, it's great to be able to speak to someone that actually has dealt with it, that understand it, and not just anyone that says, oh, this is what you must take and that's what you must take. Only somebody that's actually going through it and that's dealing with PCOS actually understands what it's all about, and everything that goes with PCOS. So I'm going to hand over to you, and you can introduce yourself and just tell us what it is. Talk to us about PCOS.
Thanks, Leanne. So, yeah, I mean, you've had a look at my Instagram account, and anybody that follows me, I'm Dietitian Claire on Instagram, but I literally also have PCOS. I was diagnosed in 2006, and I think so many PCOS women almost feel like relief when they hear I also have the condition, and they like you said, they're coming to someone that's dealing with this, that knows what this is all about. I'm a registered and I've been in clinical practice for 17 years this year, and I specifically work with women with PCOS. It's my main special interest, and I love working with PCOS. I think the thing that makes me the most sad, Leanne, is that women get so confused about PCOS, and the nutrition information out there for the condition is really not great. And by the time someone comes to me, they're so overwhelmed, and they're like how can I say, they're scrolling and scrolling for options and ideas and what to do, because you get to the point that you're like at your wit's end, right, with PCOS, because you can be you trying, you exercising, you hardly even eating food, trying to lose weight or to fall pregnant, or I mean clear your acne. There's all these things that go with the condition, and ladies feel so stuck. I mean, probably one of the most common statements that get made in my office is, "You my last hope." I'm like, gee, was no pressure over there, because because it is, we often get so stuck with the condition. But the good news is there's a lot that you can do with nutrition. This condition is never just one aspect. As we know with PCOS, it's your stress, it's your sleep, it's the nutrient deficiencies, making sure that if you are nutrient deficient, which I'd say 90% of PCOS women are, that you actually correct those deficiencies with food and supplementation, the appropriate dosages, etc. It's also your stress, your sleep, your exercise, your emotional states. All those things come in. It's not just one thing with PCOS. Yeah.
Okay. So tell us about it. You want to maybe share your journey, and what would you recommend someone, where do they start? So they've got PCOS. What do they do now? Where do they start trying to get things, correct?
Yeah.
And things balanced?
start with the basics, because I feel so often the nutrition basics are just not in place. So the first thing I would suggest that women do is they actually start tracking what they're eating in a day and just start getting an idea of what they're actually having. So often when people write it down for me, they say to me, sure, I didn't realize I was doing this or this or this until we actually wrote it down. And there's some key considerations with nutrition. The first few things I would highly recommend for PCOS is, it's at the core, it's an inflammatory condition. There's inflammation involved with PCOS. One of the best ways to fight inflammation is through high phytonutrient intake. So when you increase your vegetables in your diet, like let's say, for example, tomatoes have got lycopenes and garlic has got disulfides, your berries have got ellagic acid. There's over 2,000 different phytonutrients that I can start listing. But the key thing is that these phytonutrients, I was explaining to my patients, they're like Pac-Mans. They come and eat the bad guys. So they help to reduce inflammation. And if the first thing you can do to start helping with your PCOS is eating 4 cups of vegetables every day as a minimum, that's a very good start, okay? Because most of us are not doing that. So maybe those of you that are listening in, how many of you are eating the 4 cups of veg a day? So if you hold yourself in front of you or a calculator in front of you, that's about a cup of veg. So are you getting 4 of those in a day? I mean, Leanne, I don't know if you get 4 cups of veg in a day, but I know I certainly have to work at it, right?
I actually went and saw a dietitian that also deals with PCOS here in Cape Town.
Yes.
And I was also just blown away. And the things she told me, and like I had no idea. I used to get these pains in my neck and in my shoulders. I had no idea this came from PCOS. I would go and say, I'd drive myself to the emergency ward at night, get injections. Honestly,
Yeah.
I had no idea all this anxiety and everything came from PCOS. And just when I started eating correctly and trying to get that, I promise you, I try and get the 4 cups in. I almost never get it in, but I try. And since I've been doing that, I've seen a lot of difference. Even my skin is looking different just because of that.
So
Trying to eat healthy with this condition.
yes, I mean, and I'm going to share different tips as we go along, and you can all add them together, and hopefully you can all make at least one change from listening to myself and Leanne this evening. The other thing, I had a patient recently that literally came in, and like you said, I had pain and stuff like this. She had such bad muscle fatigue. Like her muscles were sore all the time. She was going to a chiropractor every week to get clicked and bent and, done, like fixed, because she had this pain in her muscles. So she said to me, she actually said to me, I'm dying because I'm fat, was the one sentence she said. And I said to her, and I always write these sentences down, because later on, like months down the line, I like to read those sentences out back to my patient and go, remember you said this the very first time we met. And anyway, so she had this incredible pain in her arms and her legs. So she used to go boxing 3 times a week and then walking on the other days, because she said to herself, she's just got this pain because she's lazy and her muscles are weak. And when we actually did her blood work, she had severe vitamin D deficiency, to the point that it was actually causing that extreme muscle pain for her. So there was nothing wrong with her. She was not lazy. She was none of those labels that she was putting on herself. She literally had a clinical nutrient deficiency that we needed to fix, that we started treating with the right dosages of vitamin D to start fixing that. So while we're on the topic of vitamin D, they're actually really good sources you can get from your diet. And they're things like fatty fish, so sardines, pilchards, mackerel and trout and salmon, those 5. So sorry, but not hake, not tuna, the really fatty fish, the ones I always moan about. They're the ones that are super high in omega-3, but they also have vitamin D. So they're a source of vitamin D in your diet. So those of you that aren't eating the fatty fish at least 3 times a week, it's another little dietitian tip over there that you can start including more into your diet. Keep in mind though, ladies, if you have a vitamin D deficiency, you will not fix it just with food. It won't change. You have to start taking the appropriate dosages of vitamin D. And we also use a D3. A D3, we get the rates up, the levels of the vitamin D go up a lot quicker with a D3 rather than a D2. And you also want to maintain those levels of D3. So Leanne, for you that lives in Cape Town, you get 0 vitamin D from the sun during winter. None at all. 0. Because you're too low on the latitude lines, living there at the bottom of the earth ball. Cape Town. So for the Cape Townians on the call, remember that you should be taking vitamin D probably throughout the year. So if you're taking about 1,000, 2,000 IUs of vitamin D daily throughout the year, that's pretty good for PCOS. We generally use more vitamin D because it acts as an anti-inflammatory in PCOS. It actually binds to those reactive oxygen species and reduces them. Vitamin D also helps you ovulate. So if you're not having regular cycles, the vitamin D helps you ovulate. If you are a PCOS lady trying to have a baby and your vitamin D levels are low, that can result in miscarriage. So ladies, if you've got PCOS and you've never checked vitamin D, I highly, highly recommend you getting that one checked out.
Wow.
Very
I've
important.
actually I've never heard that. So it's like every time we do a different talk with someone, it's like I'm getting a new tip, a new tip. I just had no idea that vitamin D is so important. So how does the products that Dalfrin have, does it have this in it? Does it have the vitamin D in it?
So the Pcos was actually specifically developed for women with PCOS, and it's got the vitamin D, and it's got a D3 in 1,000 IU dosage. So it's something that you can take on an ongoing basis because it should keep your PCOS levels, all the key things that are often considered to be low in PCOS, like magnesium, your B12, your vitamin D. I mean, the magnesium in there is also really, really good magnesium. They've used a magnesium glycinate, it's a 350 milligram dose, which is quite a good solid dose. So the ladies that battle insomnia as well, that struggle with sleep, can actually use, just if they use Pcos just before bedtime, and you should take a full glass of water, put the little sachet in, give it a good stir, leave it for a few minutes, and then stir it again and drink it. And if you drink it before bedtime, it also really, really helps with that magnesium before bed, which we know can assist with sleep. So yeah, the Pcos, the vitamin D, it's also got the inositols. And I actually want to touch on the inositols, Leanne, because it's so important. I'm sure a lot of us have heard about inositols, right? Like if you've got PCOS, scrolling the internet, you've heard about inositols. But ladies, it's really important that you start understanding the types of inositols, the dosages that you need in inositol intake, and in the ratio. So if you have PCOS, your body, we need the myoinositol, okay? The body can convert the myoinositol into D-chiroinositol, okay? But in PCOS, we overconvert the myoinositol to D-chiro. We make too much of the D-chiroinositol. So what happens in the body, in the tissues in the body, we talk about a 40-to-1 ratio. That's how it occurs naturally in the tissues in the body. So you've got a 40 ratio. So when you take a myoinositol to a D-chiroinositol, it should be in that 40-to-1 ratio. When it's not, or you don't take the D-chiro, you can overconvert the myoinositol and make too much D-chiroinositol. And that's actually called the paradox. It's got a paradox effect. So it can actually make fertility worse if you're getting that overconverted D-chiroinositol because you're not taking the right dosages with the right ratios. So it's so important to check that. You know, if you're taking an inositol, you want the myoinositol to be 4,000 milligrams and the D-chiroinositol to be 100 milligrams. Then you're getting that 40-to-1 ratio. So it's really, really important to check that.
Okay. So again, we're learning new things. So let me get this straight. So we need to find, when you're looking for products, it needs to be something that has 4,000?
So 4,000 grams of the myoinositol, so myoinositol with 100 milligrams of the D-chiroinositol. That's the ratio. And they actually published a systematic review last year in 2020 saying that inositols at that dosage with that combination and with that specific ratio is the first line therapy for PCOS, which is amazing to see that coming through in big studies now. I mean, back when I was diagnosed, we didn't even know about inositol. So, I mean, it's a good time to be a lady that's got PCOS. The support out there is incredible. The research is increasing. I mean, there's so much more available to people now that are diagnosed with the condition than when I was diagnosed many, many years ago already.
I was just thinking, I was just told you've got PCOS, so you're going to struggle to conceive. That's it. Thank you. Bye bye. That's what I was told. And I'm like, okay, what is it? I'm 16 years old. What do I know? And it wasn't just like you could, oh, let's just Google something about it. So yeah, well, that's amazing that we actually have all this information on hand. So when you are dealing with infertility and PCOS, you would say the first steps would be to, start eating healthy, write down what you eat, start eating healthy, try and have it 4 cups, make 4 cups of vegetables, sort of make sure that you're getting vitamin D, and also take a supplement.
Let's add
Am I
more.
right?
Let's add more to that list, okay? So the next
Okay.
thing, protein. So many women are not eating enough protein. We look at so what I see is a lot of ladies are like, I've got to be dairy free, I've got to be gluten free because I have PCOS. Ladies, you do not. That is not true, okay? There are some ladies that do need to have that. So if we have a lady with high androgens, her androgen levels are really high, and she's battling with acne, we would pull dairy in that particular individual. So like as a dietitian, my pet hate is when blanket advice is dished out to women with a medical condition and go, everybody must cut dairy, everybody must cut gluten.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, so if you have a celiac or you've got a gluten intolerance, then yes, we remove it. One of the biggest we actually see is like ladies cut dairy. Okay, so now they're putting almond milk into their oats in the morning, but it's got no protein. So now they're crashing by 11 o'clock already, and they're hitting the vending machine, and they're getting that afternoon slump because breakfast already started off a bit dodgy. Okay, so what we need to do, if you are dairy free and you specifically are using, or you're vegan or whatever, put like a plant protein into your milk so that you get adequate protein. That's really important. And then you need to start looking at how much protein you eat throughout the day. But then there's a catch. Of course, there's always a catch, right? There's never one straight answer. And that is why individualized nutrition is so important for this condition. If you have high testosterone and you're trying to fall pregnant and you eat too much protein and you eat too much red meat and too much chicken and like the meaty stuff, you actually can increase ovulatory infertility by 39 to 41% if you have a high protein diet with high testosterone, if you've got that combo going on. Okay, so it's you see that it really is individualized. We have to look at testosterone, at androgens, at your luteinizing hormone to the follicle stimulating hormone ratios. We've got to look at vitamin D, magnesium, your B12. Homocysteine is something I also look at in the ladies that are trying to conceive. We look at CRP, which is your C-reactive protein. It's an inflammatory marker. Okay, so just back to the protein, you should have a good protein at lunch and breakfast and dinner, and at least like 2 proteins per meal. So about a tin of tuna or a piece of chicken, like the bottom part of my hand. If it's whitefish, the whole hand. And you want to get lots of legumes. Fish is really good. So if you can start putting more of that into your diet, that is also really helpful. Okay, so the protein, we've touched on the protein, we've touched on the veg, we've touched on sources of vitamin D and getting the supplementation right when you're choosing a supplement, what to look out for. We've spoken intensely about the dosages of those inositols that are really important as well. The other thing that I want to mention is, people say you can eat any time of the day or night, doesn't matter. And I see this on Instagram as well. They actually did a clinical trial in women with PCOS. So, Leanne, you need to know I'm like a little PCOS nerd, totally a PCOS. PCOS article. And I have 3 Lever Arch files in my office just with PCOS literature, right?
Which is great. It's absolutely great.
So that's like my thing. So they did this study where they took ladies that had PCOS and they said, okay, we're dividing into 2 groups. We're giving both groups the same amount of kilojoules, equal, okay? But group 1 is going to get big breakfast, little dinner. Group B is going to get little breakfast, big dinner. The group with a big breakfast, little dinner, lost double the amount of weight than the group with a little breakfast, big dinner. Okay, because what we forget is in 80% of women with PCOS, you have an insulin resistance issue. Your insulin's not doing well, you're battling with insulin, you battle with cravings, You battle to lose weight because insulin is a hormone. It stores fat. It blocks fat burning. It makes you feel hungry. You feel puffy because your fluid retention's high. It does all those,
Yes.
right? But what you've got to understand is we've got a circadian rhythm or a sleep cycle, okay? By about 8:30 at night, your body starts secreting melatonin to put you to bed. It's bedtime. It's dark. It's
Yeah.
bedtime. Your body's secreting melatonin. That melatonin actually stunts and blocks insulin. So if you at 10 o'clock at night are watching Netflix with your slab of chocolate and your bowl of popcorn,
Oops.
going at it with our little munchies while we're watching our binge series, you're literally spiking that glucose, but insulin's gone to bed. Melatonin put it to bed long ago. So now it's almost like there's a bell, ding, 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 like insulin, can you wake up? Can you come sort out this glucose surge? So the reaction to those foods late at night is far more intense than if you ate that chocolate at 12 o'clock in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
Okay. So I also teach my you've got to check your timing. You can't, like, I'm not evil. I mean, I love chocolate. So I don't say to people, you can never eat chocolate again. What person would do that? I will never do that. But what I absolutely do say is have something little, like a little baby chocolate, like a 2-stick Kit Kat or whatever, and have it always with your lunch. Don't have it late at night. Try and have time. I always say to my patients, you are Cinderella. The clock is struck, it's over. We're not doing those kind of snacks late in night. We're going to do smaller portions and move them to time. Because if we talk about the bolus, right? So if you've just had a big salad and a piece of chicken and a millie, and now you eat your little Kit Kat with that, think of a bucket. Think of putting that all in a bucket, giving it a good stir. That's the bolus. It's completely different. It's got now lettuce with fiber from the millie, with protein, with some fat from the mayo you threw in there. There's so many components going on there now. There's fiber that's slowing it down. There's some fat that's slowing down the gastric emptying. You've got protein to stabilize the glucose. If we put one little Kit Kat in there, it's not so hectic. But if we let the whole top deck be eaten at 9 o'clock at night, 10 o'clock at night with nothing in the bolus, you're just taking that top deck and boom, in the bucket. That bolus is not going to be good. So I work with my patients about creating a crash landing and being clever. Like, you've got to be clever about this. There's physiology, there's like the rules of physiology, and we've got to understand PCOS is a medical condition and it requires nutrition therapy. So if you are a lady on this call and you're like, oh, because these are the thoughts that go through our head. I can't lose weight. I'm lazy. I'm this, da, da, da. It's like this negative self-talk that happens all the time. I want you to remember your medical condition. If we had somebody with high blood pressure, we wouldn't say to them, oh, just stress less. Good luck. We give them drugs. We treat their condition. We treat them.
Yes.
So take your condition, understand that your condition is a medical condition and it requires that input and support and therapy, you know, and really get the help you need. Don't go this alone. It's a lot of stuff to take in and figure out, and then you need that support and motivation. I have a dietitian that monitors me. I know what to do. I know what to eat. I'm being my cheerleader, right?
Wow. So now I'm just recapping every time because I'm like, I need to get this in. First of all, it's almost like we have to trick ourselves. So you have to have little tricks, around. So like, you don't eat all that chocolate in the evenings. Have it have it during the day with your food. Make sure that you have, in small quantities. And that's what I'm actually trying myself as well. But the other thing what I heard you is that why I'm realizing why a dietitian is so important when you are dealing with PCOS is because there are different types of PCOS. I heard this a while ago, and now it's you just confirming it for me. There are different types of PCOS. Some people with PCOS, some women with PCOS, they can have the dairy, and some just can't. So it's actually best to see a dietitian so you can find out what your almost the type of PCOS, if I have to say it that way, what it is and what it is that you're lacking, because you can quickly take the wrong things and eat the wrong things, and you could just actually end up making it worse. So if we have, I'm seeing someone saying Q&A session, please. Yeah, if you have any questions, maybe I don't know if I haven't checked my time yet, but if you have any questions, please put it down in the comment. You can also follow Claire. Sorry, I don't know what the time is now, but yeah, so if there is any questions, please ask. And you can also follow Claire as well. Maybe Claire, can you just give your details so that they can, they can inbox you or something and they can contact you. I'm sure there's a lot of women that's in the Gauteng area that can contact you.
So my handle is at Dietitian Claire, and then my practice is Nutritional Solutions. So if you can also go onto the practice website. So Leanne, I actually literally see patients from everywhere. I've got patients from Cape Town. I just see one of them has just joined. I've got patients in the UK, in London, in Australia, in New York. I've got patients everywhere. So we've been doing virtual consults for a long time. I've actually just recently started a program called the Pcos Boss program, which is it's after being in practice for so many years, I just wanted to make a program that is really proper education, because I feel like we're not getting the education we need in this condition. And just different types, we get different phenotypes with PCOS. In some women, the androgens are high. In some, it's more inflammation. We get very high CRPs. In some, they've got major insulin issues where the insulin is 20 times higher than it should be, I've actually seen. So what you've got to realize is the first point of call needs to be blood work. Literally, if blood's done. So I mean, I'm seeing a question here. Should I just start answering them here?
Yes, please. I was just about to ask you.
Okay, so you said, I meant, how do I regulate my period when I want to fall pregnant? So the first thing is that we should all be wanting to regulate our period, even if we don't want to have a baby. I just all sort of wait until it's time to have a baby to start managing our PCOS. And the thing is, if we don't manage it earlier, it's going to take so much longer to fix. So the thing with regulating your period is there are many reasons why your period is maybe not regulating. And there can be lots of different reasons. It can literally be the androgens or the testosterone. It can be the vitamin D can also affect it. There are lots of different factors. So what's important is first sets of blood. Properly check what's going on hormonally, what's going on nutritionally, making sure that you're not anemic. Because what also happens is PCOS women have these long, heavy, horrible periods and exhausted, and no one ever checks their iron. No one looks at their iron profiles, and then they're completely anemic. I mean, I see ladies, their hair's like falling out. Then we check, then it's vitamin D and anemia and a B12 deficiency and high androgens with testosterone. Those are 5 different reasons why you'd have hair loss, and now they're all together in one person. So what's the most critical thing, ladies, is you need to do bloods. You cannot guess with this condition. You have to check your blood. You have to know what's going on. This is not a guessing game. So just throwing everything that you find at yourself and hoping something works doesn't help. Okay, for the past 5 months, my periods are 30 to 34-day cycles. Does it mean I ovulate? Not necessarily. Whether you ovulate and whether you have the cycle is 2 different things. So you can have you can even have a completely regular cycle. You can have a 28-day on-the-spot cycle and not be ovulating. What is though is I've had a patient now that hasn't had her period for literally over a year, and we've been using the Pcos with her with that inositol split. And her period has actually come back now for the first time in a year that she didn't have a cycle. It takes about 3 months, at least 3 to 6 months of using the inositols to start seeing the changes. Okay, so I would recommend doing a 4,000 milligram dosage of my inositol. Somebody's just asking. So I would recommend, if you're taking a supplement that's got a lower dosage and it's maybe got the 2,000 and the 50, I would actually take 2 a day then to get it to the full therapeutic dosage, especially for ladies trying to fall pregnant. Do I go to the gynae or the dietitian for blood work? So your gynae can do it. As a dietitian, I'm also doing them because I work with PCOS all the time. So I also work with a gynecologist. I work with the gynecologist as well. So the gynaes that I work with, if they see the patient first, they'll do all the blood work for the hormonal stuff, but they'll also do the nutrition stuff at the same time. And the same way with me, if I see the patient first, I'll also do, and they've also said, test this, this, this. We're on the same page in terms of what we're testing. So I think it's just important to find a gynae or a dietitian that this is their area of interest, that they do PCOS all the time. That's what you want to do for a dietitian, because it is very specific. I mean, I wasn't taught all of the stuff at university. The only reason I know this much about PCOS because I got diagnosed with it and I started learning. And yeah, it's basic. I'd say 90% of the patients I see in my practice have got PCOS. That's like literally my thing. So I think it's important to find out who you're going to, and that's their special interest. But if someone's giving it outlets, I'd say that's not a good thing. You have to need, like I wouldn't. I think it's very important. So here's a question: is it better to take the Pcos in the morning or the evening? I prefer patients taking it in the evening, especially because of the magnesium. Remember, the Pcos has got your Marika, thank you for your question. It's actually got the inositols in it, but it's also got magnesium and zinc and folic acid and vitamin B12 that are all methylated. Remember, you also want methylated B vitamins. You don't want just cobalamin. You want methylcobalamin. You don't just want folic acid. You want methyl tetrahydrofolate. So those are all methylated. Your body can use them more readily, and they're really, really important for fertility. You want to use methylated because not all of us can do genetic tests and know if we have an MTHFR gene mutation. So using an already methylated version is important. The Pcos, Marika, also has the magnesium, it's got zinc, it's got calcium, vitamin D, K2, it's got a whole bunch of things. And that magnesium at night, I find, is really helping people that battle with sleep as well. So it's getting all things in. And I would take it at night after dinner. So I say to my patients, mix it and then sip it. Instead of when you're watching on Netflix, then you sip that. So are they over the counter? Like your Pcos and those kind of products are over the counter. You don't need scripts for those. That was just me. The questions are just
you can also buy it. Sorry, you can also buy it on our online store. So if you go to fertilitysolutions.co.za, you go to the store and you actually buy it there as well. I've got one more question here that's come up here. We've just scrolled past it. It says not PCOS related, just for weight loss. Which is more important to watch out for, sugar or fat? Maybe you can answer that one.
So remember, they're both doing something different, okay? Sugar is going to definitely spike glucose a lot more and cause more insulin resistance, etc. In terms of not cause insulin resistance, but it's going to give you a much higher glucose result, which is not good if you battle with if you're battling with PCOS specifically or insulin resistance. Fat, though, is also energy dense, so there's more kilojoules in fat than in sugar. So what we need to do is, for weight loss, we need a calorie deficit to have a weight reduction. So whether you're getting those calories from sugar or you're getting them from fat, you're still going to get a difference in terms of weight. What you've got to understand, you need fats in the diet. It's important for weight loss, but the type of fat is really important. We want more monounsaturated fats. We want to eat things like nuts, avos, olives, olive oils. Those kind of things are really good because they're a long-chain fatty acid, and they have a lot of health benefits. So I see so many people having coconut oil and butter and all these things, high saturated fat, like the keto kind of diets. I see people eating a lot of the saturated fats, and you're not going to get health benefits from that. So when nutrition, you want to take, you basically want to take, how can I put it, the best nutrients out of the food that you can get. So if we look at the proteins, you want lean protein, you want legumes, you want some plant-based proteins, you want to get fish with omega-3s because they're going to give you the best outcome. When we look at carbohydrates, we want high fiber carbohydrates. So we want to have carbohydrates that have high fiber. How do we know if something's high fiber? It's got to have more than 6 grams of fiber per 100 grams. So if you look at the back, and you look at the 100-gram column, you want the fiber to be more than 6. If it's 3 or 2, it's not a good carb because it's not got that fiber. So something like bulgur wheat's got 18.8 grams of fiber per 100 grams. So just switching your white rice to a bulgur wheat improves your nutrition like this because your fiber goes up. And I can literally for like 3 days on fiber as well, Leanne. But fiber really helps with inflammation. It's listed in the obesity guidelines that were published last year by Canada as one of the key things for weight loss is fiber. And that's why when we just drop gluten, our fiber also goes down. So
Yeah.
so important to have that high fiber from the carbohydrates. Remember, your carbs are also fresh fruit and veg and starch, but high fiber starch. Okay, we want to not have the refined carbs, the white breads, the pastas, the pizzas with no fiber, the high sugary foods, those things that when you've got high insulin, you're literally like gravitating towards.
Yes,
But
yes.
you want to choose the lots of veg. So I think I've gone through the carb and the fat, and then the fats is obviously those mono. So remember, the quality is key, because the nutrients are going to help you. And if you're doing poor quality nutrients, you're not going to help your condition. And even if you calorie
Yeah.
count, I mean, I get people that are like, but I checked my calories and I ate a donut, and then and I was still within my calories. I'm like, it's quantity and quality. Can't negate
Yes, yes.
one of the two.
Okay, perfect. I think that's all we have time for now. If you guys, if you could please just, follow Claire, and you can actually put your comments. You can still add the comments. It will be on IGTV. I will also post it to Facebook, and I hope I can get you on Facebook. We've got over 22,000 women on Facebook now.
Yeah,
On that page. So I hope at some point because I know Claire is extremely busy, just to get this was quite a battle with Claire. But I can see why you're so busy now. You're absolutely great, and you gave us such a lot of information, more than I've ever gotten when it came to PCOS and nutrition. So thank you again for joining us, and thank you for Delphin for making this possible. Thank you, Claire.
Anytime, happy to come chat with you, Leanne. If I can help just one lady make a good change, then that's great. Yeah.
True. Okay, thank you very much, Claire. Have a great evening. Okay, bye.